My dear friends, life doesn't always change in one grand moment. Sometimes it changes in a small, simple decision we make today. We often underestimate how much transformation can happen in just 15 days. Not 15 years, not 15 months, 15 days. Because when your intention is strong, when your discipline is sincere, and when your heart is aligned with your purpose, every single day becomes a stepping stone toward a better version of yourself. Small, consistent habits practiced for 15 days can create powerful momentum that begins transforming your entire lifestyle. Because change rarely arrives through dramatic breakthroughs, but through quiet, repeated actions that slowly shift your direction. When you commit to something simple, waking up a little earlier, drinking more water, journaling your thoughts, limiting distractions, or spending a few minutes in reflection, you signal to your mind that you are ready for growth. These small habits act like drops of water. Individually, they seem insignificant, but collected over 15 days, they begin carving new pathways in your mind and behavior. The beauty of such habits is that they don't require extraordinary willpower. They require sincerity, consistency, and the willingness to show up even on days when motivation is low. Each day adds a tiny layer of discipline, and discipline, even in small doses, strengthens your inner confidence. When you see yourself keeping small promises, you begin trusting your ability to make bigger changes. By day 3 or 4, you may feel resistance because the old mind pulls you toward comfort, excuses, and familiar patterns. But by pushing through that resistance, you break the cycle of procrastination that has held you back for years. By day 7 or 8, your mind starts adjusting, and what once felt like effort becomes a natural part of your routine. Your brain begins rewiring itself, creating new neural connections that support your new habits. And by day 12 or 13, you start noticing small but meaningful shifts. Your mood steadier, your clarity sharper, your sense of purpose stronger. These changes are subtle, but they are the beginning of a deeper internal transformation. The momentum built through 15 days of consistent effort becomes a quiet force inside you, pushing you toward better choices without the internal struggle you once felt. This momentum is powerful because it doesn't vanish overnight. It stays with you, guiding your decisions and shaping your identity. Over time, the person who struggled to start becomes the person who struggles to stop, because the habit is no longer something you do. It becomes part of who you are. And this is how life changes, not through giant leaps that exhaust you, but through small steps repeated with sincerity, through actions so tiny that people overlook them, yet so powerful that they reshape your entire lifestyle. Your mindset is the foundation. Changing your thoughts even slightly each day reshapes your emotional and spiritual direction, because the mind quietly governs the quality of your decisions, reactions, and inner peace. Every day, countless thoughts pass through your mind, many of which you aren't even aware of, and these thoughts subtly influence how you feel and what you do. When you begin to consciously guide even a small portion of those thoughts for 15 days, you begin to redirect the flow of your inner world. A simple shift like choosing gratitude over complaint, patience over irritation, hope over doubt, or awareness over autopilot can start altering how you interpret your experiences. The mind tends to follow familiar patterns, and if those patterns are negative, they drain your energy and clarity without you noticing. But when you gently interrupt these patterns, just once, just twice, just for a minute, your mind learns that it is capable of thinking differently. This awareness becomes the seed of transformation. By the 3rd or 4th day, you might notice how often your thoughts drift toward fear, comparison, or worry. Instead of feeling defeated, this awareness is actually progress, because you cannot change what you cannot see. As you observe these patterns, you gain the power to redirect them. Over the next few days, when you consciously replace one negative thought with a constructive one, the emotional impact becomes noticeable. You begin feeling lighter because the mind is no longer pulling you into unnecessary tension. Slowly, you start responding to situations instead of reacting impulsively. You begin understanding that peace isn't found by changing the world. It is found by changing the lens through which you view it. By the 8th or 9th day, your internal dialogue begins to soften. You no longer speak to yourself with harshness or doubt. Instead, you guide yourself with empathy, reminding yourself that growth takes time. This shift affects your relationships, your work, and your daily attitude. When your inner voice becomes kinder, your actions naturally become more intentional and grounded. As the days progress, you might notice a new calmness settling within you, a quiet confidence that wasn't there before. That calmness is the result of mental alignment. When your thoughts begin supporting you instead of sabotaging you, and by the 12th or 13th day, you begin feeling more in control of your emotions, not because external situations changed, but because your inner processing changed. This is the true power of mindset work, a gradual reshaping of your emotional and spiritual direction through small daily conscious shifts in thought. Discipline for 15 days rewires your identity, helping you break old patterns and build new empowering routines. Because discipline is not just about forcing yourself to do something, it is about teaching your mind and body who is truly in charge. When you commit to a disciplined action each day, even if it's something small, you slowly reshape the way you see yourself. Instead of viewing yourself as someone who procrastinates, quits, or gets easily distracted, you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who can be trusted, someone who is capable of growth. This shift in identity is powerful because your actions always rise or fall to the level of who you believe you are. When you change your identity, your behaviors naturally follow. In the first few days, discipline may feel uncomfortable. Your old habits resist change because they've been strengthened over years of repetition. The mind prefers familiarity, even if that familiarity is unproductive. But the moment you push through that initial discomfort, choosing discipline over ease even once, you send a message to your brain that a new chapter has begun. Each act of discipline becomes a tiny vote for your future self. These votes accumulate, shaping new neural pathways that make disciplined behavior easier over time. By the 5th or 6th day, you begin noticing small internal victories. Tasks you once resisted feel slightly more manageable. You hesitate less. Your excuses start losing their power. This is because discipline creates momentum, and momentum reduces the mental weight of taking action. You begin understanding that discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up consistently, even if imperfectly. Your mind becomes more alert, more intentional, and more willing to cooperate with your goals rather than sabotage them. As the days progress, perhaps around day 8 or 9, you start seeing subtle shifts in your routines. You wake up with more clarity, you prioritize better, and you become more aware of how you spend your time. You start noticing which habits drain you and which habits elevate you. This awareness strengthens your discipline because it becomes easier to choose what aligns with your growth. Each disciplined action reinforces your self-respect, and the more respect you have for yourself, the harder it becomes to betray your own commitments. By the 12th or 13th day, the discipline you once had to force begins feeling more natural. You notice that the urge to slip into old patterns weakens, not because the patterns disappeared, but because your identity is no longer aligned with them. You've begun to see yourself as someone who takes responsibility, someone who values progress, someone who chooses long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. Through this process, discipline evolves from a temporary effort into a core part of who you are. Reflection and gratitude throughout these 15 days anchor your progress and strengthen long-term inner stability. Because without pausing to look within, even the most powerful habits can lose their meaning. Reflection allows you to understand yourself, your choices, your emotions, your triggers, and your growth. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, from what is wrong to what is right, and this simple shift creates emotional balance. When you combine both practices, they act like the foundation of a stable inner life, holding you steady even when external circumstances shift. In these 15 days, taking just a few minutes each morning or evening to reflect on your thoughts, your behavior, and your intentions begins to create clarity. You start noticing patterns that never made sense before, and you become more aware of where your energy goes and whether it truly serves you. By the third or fourth day, reflection begins revealing things you usually overlook. You may notice how certain habits drain your enthusiasm, how specific people influence your mood, or how a small choice early in the day shapes the entire flow of your actions. This awareness is not meant to judge yourself, but to understand yourself. Parallel to this, gratitude quietly softens your heart. When you acknowledge even the simplest blessings, your breath, your home, your relationships, your progress, it brings a sense of calm and perspective. Gratitude reminds you that despite imperfections, there is always something grounding you, something supporting you, something going right. By the 7th or 8th day, reflection and gratitude start influencing your reactions. You pause before responding. You think before complaining. You appreciate before expecting. This creates emotional maturity because instead of being pulled by every passing thought or feeling, you begin choosing your responses with intention. You stop getting carried away by minor frustrations and instead focus on what truly matters. Gratitude also fuels motivation. When you acknowledge your progress, even small progress, you naturally want to continue. It becomes easier to stay committed because you feel connected to your journey, not pressured by it. By the 12th or 13th day, these practices create a noticeable shift in your inner landscape. You feel more centered because you're no longer living on emotional autopilot. Your thoughts don't overwhelm you the way they used to. Your anxieties lose their intensity because gratitude keeps your heart grounded in the present, while reflection keeps your mind aware of your direction. Together, they give you a deeper understanding of yourself and a stronger emotional framework that supports your growth far beyond these 15 days. And my friends, as you stand at the edge of these 15 days, remember this: transformation is never a single moment of brilliance. It is a collection of small choices made with sincerity. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get everything right. You simply have to show up every day with the willingness to become just a little better than yesterday. If you fall, get up.